43 days to go until the election, and there's a new poll out that shows us Texans may not be as divided over climate change as some might assume. So the poll comes from the Yale program of climate change communication, shows 3 out of 4 Texans do think global warming is happening, and nearly 2 out of 3 folks here in Texas say they're worried about it. But you may not know that based on what some politicians say out on the campaign trail. So tonight, ITN reporter Brian New is delving into the disconnect between the public opinion we see and political rhetoric.
So when did you install the solar panels?
So I kind of did it in 2 waves. The first one was in 2012.
From the top of his roof to the car inside his garage. Larry Howe's concern about the climate is what drives him.
The science is pretty well established. You keep adding more heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere, what's going to happen? You're going to trap more heat.
Some might quickly stereotype this Plano resident as a liberal environmentalist, but Howe is a lifelong Republican. And with the election nearing, Howe says he finds himself at a crossroad.
If you want my vote, you got to step up on climate and prioritize the issue. Because if you're not prioritizing that issue with that body of evidence on it, then how can I trust you on any of those other issues?
Yale University public opinion polling found 56% of Texans believe global warming is caused mostly by human activity. In Congress, 149 Republican members, including 10 from Texas, have publicly questioned the role humans have had on climate change. The Yale polling also revealed how 71% of Texans support regulating carbon dioxide as a pollutant. However, this year's Texas GOP platform supports the reclassification of carbon dioxide as a non-pollutant.
So do you feel like your opinions on climate change, do they align with the Republican Party here in Texas?
No, not now. No, not at all.
Am I concerned about the environment? Absolutely. But I don't want to see us get into a state of alarmism.
Dallas GOP Chair, retired Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, says that while climate change isn't the top priority for the Texas Republican Party, they do care about it. He says the problem is the proposed solutions coming from the left are too extreme, and he says would limit people's freedoms.
I would just like to see some very simple, reasonable minds that aren't trying to put people in one camp or the other, just sit down and say, let's solve this thing.
So why isn't that happening? Why isn't
Brian,
the climate...
you know why that's not
Why is that not happening, that this is not a bridge issue?
Because when you're telling me that I have to, then for whatever reason, I'm going to hit the off switch. When you're telling me that I have to buy an EV, when you're telling me that I have to, have a different type of, washer, dryer, and stove, and all of these things, then you're losing me, and you're losing the argument.
And that argument, especially online,
enjoy your climate cult while it lasts.
Keep ignoring science. It's not like the planet is on fire or anything.
is becoming louder and more divisive.
There's name-calling and nastiness and caricaturing each other in both directions online.
David Spence, a professor at the University of Texas Law School, takes a hard look at the politics of climate change in his new book, Climate of Contempt. Spence writes that political polarization and misinformation have stalled climate policies that most Americans would support.
So what's the solution?
I think, we got here through a slow process of changing the information environment and changing the way we consume and process information. We're going to have to correct that through the slow process of getting back to talking to one another across ideological boundaries in a civil, respectful way. I know it's frustrating for people to hear because it doesn't sound easy or fast.
Folks, thank you so much for coming. Very much appreciate it.
Last month in Plano, Congressman Pat Fallon held a town hall meeting. Fallon said no question was off limits. So his constituent and fellow Republican Larry Howe wrote Fallon a question about whether he would support efforts to educate the public about the science of climate change.
A couple climate change questions.
Sure. Fallon says Howe's idea was great, and he spent 12 minutes talking about his views on the climate change debate.
But let's be real about what we can. Not just say all these
rainbowy things to get votes and to brainwash a generation with climate alerts.
He did spend several minutes talking about it.
Yeah, but again, I think it had more misleading information than information that would help bring us together. To me, that's what was missing.
We asked Congressman Fallon's staff after that town hall meeting if we could talk to him about what he had to say about climate change. We were told his schedule was simply too tight. Meanwhile, on our website, we have laid out side by side what the Texas Republican Party has to say on its platform about environmental and energy issues, alongside what the Texas Democratic Party has to say. The Texas Democratic Party on its platform devotes nearly 2,000 words to environmental issues. Nicole, why the Texas Republican Party has just a little more than 900 words on this issue.
A very engaging dialogue, Brian, from both sides. Really interesting to see it this way. Thank you so much. Brian New with the I-Team.